hello everybody. Welcome to Sports Talk. Happy Monday. I know it's been a couple days, but we are back here, coming to you remotely here in the city of Long Beach, California. This is our weekend wrap up. I, of course, am Ed, alongside with my boy Jesus, coming remotely. Partner, how you been?
Yo, 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 we back. Good, good, good.
Yeah, I know a lot of has happened over the course of the last few days, but we're gonna go ahead and recap it. And again, it's the day after Mother's Day, so hope everyone had a great Mother's Day weekend. So it's time to get it going with sports. Let's get to the top stories. The Lakers have announced today that they are going to begin searching for their new coach. Again, it's been 2 weeks since the firing of Coach Ham, the Darvin Ham, and a lot has changed in that organization. And partner, listen to this. Earlier tonight, it was reported that LeBron James is in Cleveland. He went to see the Cavs Boston series. James hasn't been in Cleveland in the last 6 years. Does this show like maybe he's decided where he's going to play next year?
Yeah, as mentioned before in the other episodes, I pretty much predicted that LeBron James is gonna go back to Ohio, which today he was in attendance versus the Cavs and Boston game, but unfortunately that game didn't go right for the Cavs. But yeah, there's a lot of rumors now for him to go back to Ohio.
Yeah, I was very surprised that he went to Ohio, and he got a standing ovation at courtside. So who knows? Are we starting to see maybe a potential final chapter in his legacy career? One more run with his team, the team that he led to the championship about almost 8 years ago, the Cleveland Cavaliers.
Yeah, yeah, and I think Cavaliers have like if he joins them, I think they have a lot of players who contribute, you know. They're a young squad.
With that signing, like how many veterans do you see maybe trying to jump on the wagon and say, I want to go to Cleveland?
That's a tough one. I don't think no veterans. There might be one or two, but I think just by his presence, that team will be better than they are this year. Unfortunately, they're down 3-1 right now in the series. They're gonna get eliminated by Boston, but if they add LeBron into that team, they're gonna look pretty good.
I think a lot of people agree with you on that one there, partner. We do want to let you know that we will be having more viewers coming in. As soon as the Oklahoma Dallas game is over, there's about 9 seconds left. Right now, it's a 1 point lead for OKC. If they win this game and hold on, they'll even the series at 2. We're also going to talk about the other series that are going on. As Jesus mentioned earlier tonight, um, the Cavaliers went down to Boston. Boston is up 3 games to 1, 109-92. We're going to give you some updates right now. There is baseball tonight out in Anaheim. The Cardinals lead the Angels 8-5 in the bottom of the eighth. The Dodgers are in San Francisco taking on the Giants. That is 4-4 going into the top of the ninth. The Reds and Diamondbacks are in the seventh. Arizona's up 4-3. Rockies up on the Padres 5-4. Royals losing to the Mariners 6-2, top of the ninth. Some scores from earlier today. Blue Jays beat the Orioles in 10, 3-2. Marlins beat the Tigers 5-6. I'm sorry, Tigers beat the Marlins 6-5. Phillies beat the Mets 5-4 in extra. Rays beat the Red Sox 5-3. Braves blanked the Cubs 2-0. Pirates beat the Brewers 8-6. Guardians shut out the Rangers 7-0. And Oakland lost in Houston 9-2, which I'm very surprised on that one. Again, earlier tonight, Cleveland Boston 109. Cleveland 102. Boston had lead 3 games to 1. So they are one game away from the Eastern Conference Finals. In hockey, Stanley Cup playoffs, the Stars lead 4-1 over the Avalanche. That's in the third, midway through. Um, Dallas leads 2-1. And the Hurricanes beat the Rangers 4-1, edging their lead down 3-2 as they try to continue to force a game 7. NASCAR yesterday, there was a race in Darlington, the world famous 1 mile track, Monster Mile, as they the racetrack that is known as the race fans called Too Tough to Tame. Brad Keselowski in the number 6 Ford won that race. Ends a 3-year losing streak. He wins. Ty Gibbs will go second. Josh Berry third. Danny Hamlin fourth, and Chase Briscoe rounds out that top 5. So, interesting there, ending a 3-race losing streak. Um, Now let's get on to some of the other headlines that are going on here. So we mentioned that the Lakers are looking for their head coach. Again, we gave you the list last week. Earlier today, Adam Schefter from ESPN reported that the Detroit Lions and Jared Goff have agreed to a 4-year, $212 million extension with a $170 million guarantee. This franchise quarterback is locked in for years to come. Goff has been in Detroit for the past 3 years. Last year, he posted a 12-5 record, beat his old team, the Rams, and lost in the divisional. So it looks like times are coming for Detroit. As I want to bring in my partner here, what was your reaction when you heard about that signing?
Uh, now, mm, just like just another reporting that came out. I actually don't really have no words to tell because I used to like golf. Now I hate him.
I'm sure you used a lot of colorful language when they beat the Rams last year, right?
Well, since last season I'm not a Lions. No matter what news come out from the Lions, screw them.
Wait, don't you mean don't you mean
Yeah, no, but overall, I think the Lions are gonna have him set for the rest of his career. I think they have, I think they have a bright future. They believe in him after what happened last year. I think they really think they could go to the Super Bowl with him. Which, what you think about it? That's a lot of money.
well, we saw how the Rams signed Matthew Stafford after that Super Bowl victory. But you mentioned that a lot of these players, they're young players. Some of these players are young, and some of these are veteran players that are like actually getting some big money. As Donald Trump used to say, money, 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 money. But let's talk about some other players that got the payroll rolling. We mentioned Goff's 53 million per year, 53 million per year, like 53 million a year, not just 1 year, a year. You look at Joe Burrow from the Bengals; he's getting 55 mil a year. Justin Herbert from the Chargers, he's getting 52.5 million a year. Lamar Jackson, who's won multiple MVPs but no Super Bowls, 52 million. Now Jalen Hurts is at the 51 million. Let me ask you a question, partner. Why is it Patrick Mahomes on this list as far as like the most paid quarterbacks, and he's got 3 Super Bowls?
Yeah, that's what I was looking at, and it seems like the fact that Patrick Mahomes is not in the top 5, it's kind of like bad news for the rest of the league. But I don't know. That's a tough one. You think I think he'll get a contract coming soon in this upcoming years, or what you think? I think he's better than all of them. Not all of them, but most of them. Most of the top 5 getting paid.
When you look at this list, I mean, does it matter? Like, does money even matter here? Let me ask you that question.
Like no.
Well, let's go over this list again. So I mentioned Goff, I mentioned Burrow, I mentioned Herbert, Jackson, Hurls. Three, three of these five guys have been to a Super Bowl, and they all lost. You got two guys that hasn't even been. Well, you got one guy who's won multiple MVPs, one game short of a Super Bowl, and then you got the one guy that had made the playoffs like what, maybe one time and never gone far. So I mean, you wonder if there's a message to be sent here saying that, you know, you provide, we reward. Here's the thing: Mahomes has provided, but I don't see him getting rewarded yet. You wonder how many Super Bowls you got to win to get that big fat money. But he doesn't. It doesn't look like he cares. He wants to play, you know. And he's also owner of a soccer team in Kansas City. So I mean, he's getting his money elsewhere too. But let's talk about these quarterbacks that got money or got contracts coming up this offseason. Trevor Lawrence from Jacksonville, Dak Prescott from the Cowboys, Jordan Love from the suddenly resurgent Green Bay Packers, and then Tua Tagovailoa from the Dolphins. Which one of these four deserves that big fat pay?
For after what happened last season, I think Jordan Love deserves the highest pay out of those four named because he took the Packers to the playoffs and dominated the first round, and nobody expected that. And Jordan Love is pretty much he was a rook sophomore pretty much coming into this year, so I believe Jordan Love. As mentioned earlier, you said whoever does the correct job. For an example, they all made it to the Super Bowl from the previous named quarterbacks, and they get rewarded. So I think like Jordan Love will be the next one. And from that list, I think that Dak Prescott is not. He's getting traded to a different team.
We'd like to welcome those of you who are watching the Oklahoma Thunder and the Dallas Mavericks matchup. This is Sports Talk Live weekend wrap up on Monday here in our city of Long Beach, California. We are remotely. The Thunder win 100-96. That series now at 2 games apiece. We will discuss that in a little bit, plus the NBA playoffs. We're just on the topic of the quarterbacks right now. We mentioned that 5 quarterbacks who are making over $50 million a year. 3 of the 5 have made Super Bowl runs, but haven't won it yet. Burrow, Goff, Herbert, Jackson, and Hurls. And then we're just talking about these 4 quarterbacks who are due for renegotiations this offseason. Lawrence, Prescott, Love, and Tua from Miami. I think I agree with you. Jordan Love does deserve that money, but then again, you want to invest more in players. Jordan Love is a good quarterback. He sat behind Aaron Rodgers. I think if you boost his offense with more veteran players like on offense, like maybe get another wide receiver, or maybe get a running game, and maybe improve your defense, I think Green Bay could be a favorite to make a run at the NFC North. But if I had to pick another quarterback, I'd probably pick Trevor Lawrence because I mean, this guy in his rookie year struggled. You know, I think the Jaguars went 1-15 in his rookie year. You look at what he's done lately. He's turned around this Jaguars organization, put them in contender mode. Could have made the playoffs this past year, but injuries really screwed him. He was playing hurt most of the season, and then they just went on a long losing streak. I think he'll have a comeback year. I think he can be the comeback player of the year if he plays his cards right. But I think Trevor Lawrence should be the next quarterback to get a contract negotiation.
Yeah, I could see that too. Because Dak Prescott, nah, not at all. I think this year is his do or die year for him. And Tua, they have a great team. They have a great, but I don't see. I could see him in the future, but not as of right now.
Now we've been wondering about Bill Belichick. You know, as many of you know, he was relieved of his duties after 24 years with the New England Patriots, who basically became the Phil Jackson and the Greg Popovich of the NFL. On Friday, it was reported that Belichick will be joining Peyton Manning and Eli Manning this season on Monday Night Football as a third member of their broadcast party. So we know ESPN has Joe Buck and Troy Aikman covering the games, but if you go to ESPN2 or ESPN News or ESPN, Classic or whatever, Peyton Manning and Eli, they have their own coverage. So now Belichick is going to be um, the third member. Now, let me ask you this, partner. Is this really it for Bill Belichick, or is he just doing this until someone calls?
I think this year he might go all year being an analysis. Then next year, if a team picks him up, they'll pick him up. But I don't see it this year. I just see him as a contributor on the analysis desk.
I mean, you look at his age. I mean, does he have any coaching left in him? Because I mean, he's mentioned before that he loves to coach because it quote unquote beats working, and yeah, I agree, it does beat working. Trust me, as a couple of working men ourselves. Um, but he mentioned before he knows that nothing lasts forever. At some point, he's gonna have to walk away and give it up. I mean, do you see that he struggles with this decision, or he's just more like head, it's like it is what it is.
Yeah, from his personality, it seems like it is what it is as of now.
I mean, you look at his resume. He's been known as a before the Patriot run. He was mostly known as a defensive genius, having won two Super Bowls with the New York Giants, an AFC East title with the New York Jets. And then he goes to New England, and that's what he's remembered. He's one of the greatest coaches in the history of the game. You look at coaches like Don Shula, um, John Madden. You just look at these famous coaches from back in the day, Vince Lombardi. You know, I can go on and on, but Bill Belichick is actually up there. I mean, this is one of those rare coaches you will never see having the run he had. 24 years. 10 AFC East or 10 AFC East championship games and titles and multiple, like maybe almost 20 AFC East division titles. Being in having to miss the playoffs about maybe four times in his career. That's got to be very impressive.
Yeah, 100%. Then there is a news as well that Tom Brady is gonna be an announcer on the desk as well this upcoming year, which I expected for sure after watching the Netflix series.
Now is he
What what you
Excuse me.
think about Tom Brady being on the desk as his first time broadcasting assignment? How-
It's gonna be weird.
yeah, and it was a weird game too. Cowboys versus Browns. Couldn't they pick a better matchup?
Yeah, you wonder like what kind of matchup was that?
Yeah, for sure. It's gonna be on Fox, so that's gonna be the debut of Tom Brady's. But I'm not sure if he's gonna broadcast every week or like. But I'm pretty much sure he is.
Yeah, so I mentioned earlier Bill Belichick. He talked about his coaching future. He talked about this in 2009. This was after they lost to the Ravens in the wild card round. So the next day he went to the stadium office and he basically did like his exit interviews or whatever, his offseason wrap ups. But I'm gonna play a brief clip of what he has said about coaching and basically life. That was from the documentary Football Life. They followed him during the '09 season, and again, that's available on YouTube. Just look up Bill Belichick on YouTube channel, and you can watch that documentary. It's actually a two part, but that was about 15 years ago. I mean, like 15 years later, what do you think? You think it's a he mentioned he was gonna coach up to his 70s, so I mean, like he's up there now. So I mean, is he gonna live by those words, or is he just gonna be like try to find another coaching job?
Yeah, that's a tough one to predict. Only him and himself could. Yeah, that's a tough one to even predict.
But think about it. Again, 24 years in New England. He basically ran that city of Boston, Foxborough. You know, many wonder what could have been. We all remember the '99 season where, he resigned as the coach of the Jets, and then a day later he took the Patriots job. Jet fans still to this day wonder what could have been had he stayed with the New York Jets. You wonder if all that success would have built around New York, and then you wonder if Tom Brady would have been drafted by the Jets. They ended up getting Chad Pennington, which he was okay. They had Minnie Testaverde, but he was already up in age. So it's always going to be a what if with this scenario. What if they had kept him? What if he had stayed and turned his success? The Jets are wondering about that, and then you also wonder what the Cleveland Browns feel. If they never moved from Baltimore in '95, he was a coach there for 4 years, led them to their last playoff win before 2020. So again, partner, what do you think? You agree with that scenario? Like it's all a bunch of what ifs between Cleveland and the Jets.
Yeah, for sure. Bunch of what ifs, for sure. But you never know. That's how it is in sports. There's always two sides of what if. What if this? What if they would have joined this? But that's the good of sports.
Well, there is one thing for sure. We know Brady just wasn't a puppet when it came to being under Belichick's system because Tom Brady won a Super Bowl in his first year with Tampa. So it showed that it wasn't just Bill Belichick's system for so many years. It showed that Brady was, in fact, a great player because he won a Super Bowl in another team in another system. He went to the playoffs twice. Actually, he went three times in the playoffs in Tampa Bay. After Tom Brady left, Bill Belichick only went to the playoffs one time in the last 5 years. So it just shows that let's settle this right now. Between those two, who was more important? Belichick. Was it important for Tom Brady to be with Belichick, or was it important to show that Belichick's system worked with no matter who the quarterback was? Who was better between those two?
Well, without a quarterback, you can't really coach. Without a coaching the quarterback, so I'll just go on the Tom Brady biases. Without him, I don't think Belichick would have been had have so much rings on him.
Well, I mean, Belichick system and Tom Brady's play is the reason they won like what 5 rings, 6 rings, and then again, Belichick made the playoffs one time after Brady left. Brady went to the playoffs all 3 times in Tampa. Yeah, he ended his career with 2 playoff losses in a row. We remember the Rams playoff matchup, and then the Cowboys thrashing, which out of all the teams to get thrashed by, you get thrashed by the Cowboys.
The old Cowboys, the Cowgirls.
I know there were creepy fans in Tampa, but I didn't think they were that creepy.
Well, when Tampa Bay had the Buccaneers had a good squad when Tom Brady went and won his first year with the Bucks. From the
Well,
he had a
he
great
had two
offensive
years.
line. I think uh, pretty much he had a great defense as well. I remember that as well. They had a great defense. Because once Tom Brady went with Buccaneers, they recruited a lot of players on the defensive and offensive line.
Yeah, all the players went there. You know, then Dominic Sue went there. Julio Jones went there. Antonio Brown, even though he had that famous tantrum meltdown where he just kind of like took off his pads and pretty much said, "The hell with you guys! I'm getting the hell out of here." You know, screw Tampa. So I mean, and he hasn't played a game since. So I mean, I think his career is over for sure.
Yeah, 100%.
But and we do want to welcome those of you tuning in. Uh, Angels lose to the Cardinals 10-5. Welcome
Goddamn
to
Angels, man.
Sports Talk.
The Angels are done for this season. They were up 4-0 on the top of the sixth. Once their bullpen comes in, it's 8-4.
You wonder, does this show how much the Angels miss Mike Trout?
They have their pitching has been problems for years. It's just another year of being an Angel fan. Their bullpen has been a problem for years and years and years. They try to build and make it more efficient, but never happens. GG's to the Angels this year for sure. They're tied to the bottom with the Astros with 12, 14 wins.
And we want to give you an update with the Dodgers. They have they're in extra innings and they're up 6-4 right now. It's 2 outs and they have a man on second, but the Dodgers are up by two in that contest. And again, we will let you know how that goes out after that game. And again, just to reiterate what we were talking about, we talked about Bill Belichick. Peyton Manning announced this on the Pat McCaffrey show that Bill Belichick would be a permanent guest there. So I guess it is over for the Belichick coaching career. And then Tom Brady's going to be on Fox Sports in Week 1, Cowboys and Browns. I agree with you. That's a weird matchup, but I mean, I guess they want to make it easy
So
for him.
so Fox ended up getting Tom Brady and they booted out Greg Olson. What you think about that?
I'm sure he'll be picked up somewhere. I mean, there's like he can. There's a lot of. Well, maybe he might get picked up. Maybe he may not. Who knows? I mean, NFL Network just had a massive layoff, so maybe he might go in there. Because NFL Network used to do Thursday Night Football for a couple years, but ever since they lost the contracts to Amazon, I mean they laid off a lot of people. I think Marshall Faulk's not there no more. Even Michael Irvin was the latest of the layoffs. And then I remember the beautiful Rachel Bonetta, who was a host there. She's gone. She's now doing stand up comedy. I was like, man, my cute girl's gone. That's what I
Yeah,
thought.
the football. I mean, NFL Network has been having their problems. A lot of new streaming apps stealing their fans, their audience.
Well, Michael Irvin said that his contract was up for negotiations, and they just decided not to renew his contract because he was there for a long time. I think he was there for about almost 20 years. I think he was there a long time.
Yeah, for sure. That's a long time. Unless they just change the whole sequence. Because they're pretty much in LA now. So they should be able to get like a big name or somebody to resign.
Well, don't forget the popular morning show Good Morning Football is currently on hiatus. They have moved their set from New York to Los Angeles, so this season they will be broadcasting from Los Angeles, most likely outside SoFi Stadium. So I look forward to that. Hopefully we could end up on that show one day. I would love to be there on Good Morning Football. I'm a big fan of that show too. And again, the host Jamie Erdo, she's going to be there. By the way, congratulations on the newborn she had a while back. Also, we don't know who else is going to be on the show because most of the guys that were there were from New York and they're going to be doing their own thing. So, hopefully, who knows, maybe there's an opening there for those that got laid off. But before we go to our next sport, we do want to remind you guys on Wednesday, the NFL will be releasing the schedule for the 2024 season for all the teams. We will have a special edition of Sports Talk. We will break down the Rams and the Chargers schedule. See what games will be more important and then what games we look forward to. Of course, we know we want the division matchups, but then again, there's always those interconference matchups and the conference matchups. So Again, tune in Wednesday. Once the schedule's released, we'll go over it. Go Rams.
Rams house, Rams house. Yeah, excited what about the schedule. Hopefully, we have some good teams coming so far.
Thank you. Thank you. Getting very excited for football. Miss it. Well, we're going to go ahead and talk basketball now. We'll start with the other series from the past weekend. On Friday, the Knicks lost to Indiana. So right now it's 2-1 at that time. The Nuggets destroyed the Timberwolves. So Denver got back in it. Saturday, the Mavericks beat the Thunder. They went up 2-1 at the time. And Boston beat Cleveland 2-1 at the time. And then yesterday, the Pacers got back in it 121-89. Nuggets tied it up 115-107. That was the game of the night right there. And then tonight, Cavaliers lost to the Celtics 109-102. And partner, one thing that I want to talk about this game is Cleveland was shorthanded. You know, they're dealing with injuries right now.
Yeah, all season, Cleveland Cavaliers have played efficient with Jared Allen and Donovan Mitchell and their full healthy squad. Unfortunately, that hasn't happened this series as Jared Allen hasn't played for a couple games. And last minute, like an hour before tip-off, Donovan Mitchell was announced out with a lower leg injury, which was pretty much once that news broke out, that was pretty much game. And for LeBron to go to a game like that, it's all bad. But yeah, Cleveland's looking in trouble.
Are you concerned at all with Boston being the top seed that they let a short-handed team like Cleveland? Because this was a close game. You know, I'm looking at the scorecard. Every quarter it was competitive. I mean, 109-102, you win by 7 with a short-handed team. Now, does that show that Cleveland could have won this game because they had the missing pieces? They could have won it had they had those missing pieces, or is Boston this is like a donut game for them?
Cavaliers would have won it if they would have had their both pieces in. But Boston are too good, you know. Tatum, Jaylen Brown, so many pieces. Drew Holiday, Derek White, who's having an amazing season. Boston's going to the finals. Unless Knicks pull it out some way, but their series is tied 2-2, in which they play tomorrow, Game 5. Uh, to be honest, the only series I've been watching closely is that Minnesota and Nuggets series. Cause whoo, yeah, and a little bit of the Mavs and Dallas, the Mavs and OKC. A lot of physical, no calls today. But what you think? Who you think is gonna advance to the next series between Nuggets and Minnesota?
That one's hard to tell because every team has a different day, and I mean, you don't know what team is going to come out. You know, they could be good one night, they could be bad another night,
Yeah,
and it looks like that's what the deadline says.
yeah. So far, Minnesota took 2 games at Nuggets home. Then Nuggets came back and took 2 away from their home. So that's the first time that happened this year in the playoffs. And Jamal Murray has been catching on fire these last 2 games. That's why they're tied up 2-2 the series.
You know, here's the thing too. I'm looking, you know, reviewing this, and you know, Tatum for Boston, he was the leading scorer, 33 points tonight, and then Darius Garland for Cleveland, he was the leading scorer. He had 30 points, and you know, it shows, you know, despite his efforts, it just wasn't enough. And then you look at you look at the stats, and this is the Cleveland game we're talking about. It was pretty much even at first. I mean, 48% for Boston shooting, 43 for Cleveland. 3 points. It's percentage wise, it's Boston, but a small favor. So I mean, when you look at this, it just shows even with a shorthanded club, Cleveland played pretty hard tonight.
Yeah, they had to pretty much home court, and with LeBron James in the stands, there's no other way to go to not play that aggressive and that competitive.
And you wonder if this is a tryout game or this is like an audition for LeBron James, because again, he can opt out of the Lakers contract and sign anywhere else if he chooses. So he has that. So we'll still be looking into it. But I'm sure he's going to be heckled now. Pretty sure people are going to be starting rumors saying that LeBron is going to be a Cav, because he was there. So, I mean, we'll just have to wait and see. Meanwhile, we do want to welcome Dodger fans who are tuning in. Dodgers beat the Giants 6-4 in the final of 10 innings. The Dodgers win in San Francisco tonight, so good job for them. Think we want to welcome you guys here on Podbean, Spotify, and iHeartRadio. This is Sports Talk. The next game tonight was the Thunder and Mavericks. OKC coming out big here in the closing seconds, and now they tie this series up at 2. I mean, how surprised were you that the Thunder won tonight?
Yeah, I'm gonna start off with that Dodger. So after Dodgers winning today, they're in first place in the National League West with a record of 27 wins and 15 losses. Their last 10 games, they're 8-2. So the Dodgers are looking pretty good. Started off kind of rough, but they're looking pretty good. And that OKC and Mavs game today, the Mavs had it. Well, I only watched the fourth quarter. It was a back and forth. Pretty much Dallas had the fourth quarter until OKC just went on a 9-0 run in like 3 minutes of that final fourth quarter for them to get that victory. But it was a close one. It took all 48 minutes of the pretty much of the clock for them to announce a winner. Those last couple seconds were free throws they made and defense possessions. Great effort by the OKC, young OKC, hungry OKC team.
Winning from behind, which is why they're the number one team in the Western Conference this season. And the stats for this one was close as well. 40% to 38 on shooting from the field. Dallas had that by 2 points, and then Dallas did well on 3-pointers. But the one difference I'm looking here was the rebounds.
Are you
Both teams offensive rebounds.
You're watching the stat line, right?
Um,
That's what we're talking.
yeah,
Can you compare the Thunder's
yep,
minutes? Look at their starting lineup minutes. Oh my God! Everybody played 40 minutes.
yeah. I'm looking at that too. All 5 star except for Giddy, the shooting guard. Everyone else played about 40 minutes on the starting lineup. So I mean, they're gonna be very, very, very sore when it
Nah,
comes
they'll
to the
be all
next
right,
game.
bro. When you're young, 22, 23, 24, you'll be okay.
Yeah, but you wonder like how the
I per- I personally think that Dallas Mavericks are
players later on.
more bumped, more bruises, more because these last couple games, Luka Doncic is. I think he's slowly running out of gas.
Well, three starters on Dallas played over 40 tonight. PJ Washington played 41 minutes. He was the leading scorer. He had 21 points. Kyle Irving, the veteran, he played 41 minutes and he only had 9 points. And then Donick, the point guard, who's had a great run going back to the last round, he played 42 minutes and he had an off night too. He only had 18 points. So um, you wonder if these long minutes are starting to affect Dallas, when it comes to shooting, especially from, 3 of your main 5
Yeah, and don't
guys.
forget Dallas only had 1 day of rest after that Clippers series, and OKC had a week off, so that's big.
Well, that could be the advantage and the disadvantage when it comes to the playoffs. When you finish your matchups fast, you get rest, but at the same time, you get rusty. And then, compared to playing a series and then jumping into another one, it could be an advantage because you're still playing, you still got your momentum. But we've seen it before, especially with the Lakers. The longer you play these series, the more gas you're going to get when it comes to like crunch time. And again, this round after this round, it's the semifinals, it's the conference finals. So almost, and I'm looking at the score, like all these series are like at 2 games apiece. So there's no clear winner here. There's no telling who's gonna have the advantage. Now it's a best of three.
Yeah, the only games I see it going game 7 is the Knicks and the Knicks series and this OKC Dallas. Oh, don't forget the Minnesota. Yeah, you're right. You're right. All of them are looking like a going to game 6, game 7 type of series.
Yeah, it's now a best of three. And I mean, like I said, I can't clear out a winner because again, these teams got their strengths and they got their weaknesses, and it's hard to tell, who's going to be on top one day, and then the next game is someone else.
Yeah, right now it's a hard way to predict who's gonna win the next game or even take the series at this point. We could see many upsets, or we could see insane stuff that we never seen. It's already been a crazy playoffs since that round one. That was it, a week, 2 weeks ago. Now we're closely like 2 weeks away from the finals. It's down to the wire.
Yeah, the Western Conference had a lot of sweeps. Um, there wasn't many in the Eastern Conference, but now every game is at 2 games apiece.
Yup, that's gonna be. It's gonna go down to the wire through to being healthy and just keep on doing what they've been doing all season for each and every single team.
So we do want to let you know about tomorrow's schedule. Tomorrow at 5 o'clock on TNT, our time, it'll be Game 5 between the Pacers and Knicks. That's going to be in New York, and then the nightcap, it'll be the Wolves and the Nuggets, 2 games apiece, 7:30 on TNT. So I'm looking forward to that last one, and then Wednesday we will have Cleveland and Boston in Boston, 4 o'clock TNT. I take it back. That's the only series that's probably going to end. Boston's looking to close out Cleveland, and then the nightcap will be the Mavericks and Thunder. So
Yeah.
I take it back. That's the only game that's probably going to end tomorrow on Wednesday. Meanwhile, the other ones are like best of three. So I mean, Boston might be the clear winner here because they're going to get a couple days rest if they take care of business tomorrow night.
Yeah, it seems like we're gonna have basketball every single day of this week. Besides, if Cavaliers dominate Celtics and beat them on Wednesday, just to win the series 4-1. Because after that, the next series there's gonna be 2 days in between of rest for each and every game after this round.
And then tomorrow, the Angels will play the Cardinals again at 6:38 p.m. and the Dodgers will bat against the Giants at 6:45 in San Francisco. So it was going to be see if the Halos can at least get something going. And again, Wednesday we'll have a special edition of the show. We'll talk about the schedule release. We know now that the Ravens and the Chiefs are going to play on Thursday night football, the first Thursday in September. It'll be a rematch of the AFC Championship game, which was won by Kansas City 17-10 in Baltimore. I'm looking forward to that one, to tell you the truth.
Yeah, it looks like a playoff game right off the bat. And so that game's gonna be on Thursday, September 5. Then the next following day, which will be the first time we have football on a Friday, the Packers and Eagles will be playing in Sao Paulo, Brazil.
You got your passport
Let's
ready, amigo?
go. We out to Brazil, mi amigo.
Maybe we'll run into Blanca from Street Fighter. Just make sure you don't You stay away from this electrical attack.
Hey, but what you think? I like that the NFL are moving, like expanding out of the country, getting like other countries into the football.
Well, I mean, it's a business decision. To be honest, I just think that the NFL is trying to. I'm not trying to say this in a bad way, but I think they're trying to gain more viewership. Because I looked into this before we went on the air tonight. The NFL has been facing a lot of criticism over the past few years. We go back to 2020, the COVID season. At the time there was the racial tensions. With that and other things, and a lot of the NFL players, personnel, they got politically involved, and I just think that doing that really damaged the NFL because actually this goes back to when Trump was the first president because at the time we all remember Colin Kaepernick with the kneeling of the anthem and how that pissed off a lot of people. And then you at the time the president was saying, get these SOBs off the field, and the president pissed off the NFL. So I remember the one Sunday after he said that, national anthems and all that stuff. Players were in the locker room; they didn't want to go out there take a knee. So I mean, they've really been through a lot these last couple years, with politics in NBA. And I know this is not a political show, and it's not. I'm just kind of like putting it out there, as one of as a as we're sportscasters ourselves. We go with we have to do our jobs. We have to report on what we see, and a lot of us saw that during that time. The NFL kind of had a black eye for it, because of the situations. So I mean, it's good that they're going around trying to get this game more publicly involved, especially with other nations. I mean, they started this long time ago with the London games, then Germany, and then now Brazil, and then I believe they went to Mexico a few times. So, I mean, what's your favorite country to see the NFL in?
I don't have a favorite. I think it's just good for worldwide fan base for the NFL to grow. I mean, yeah, everything's ratings as well, but yeah.
Another example too was the NBA. During the bubble season, and again, political issues got involved in the game, and a lot of fans weren't happy with it. A lot of fans were. It was just a back and forth thing. To be honest, I wasn't happy with it because I mean, at the time we were dealing with COVID-19. Everything we loved was closed. We couldn't go to the shopping mall. We couldn't go to the arcades. We couldn't go to the ballpark. We couldn't go get burgers and sit and talk to people. We couldn't go to your local Starbucks and grab a coffee and sit down and talk while you wait. You had to social distance from people. You had to wait in line to get into a market. You couldn't have birthday parties or gatherings. So when I saw things like that, like I was already like hurt enough knowing that we're locked in our houses. We're on lockdown. You want to get your mind off things, and everybody handled it differently. I'll tell you this part. Let me ask you a question. Do you remember the night that they shut down the season?
Yeah, I remember the night, but I forgot what exact sport was it first because I remember I was watching a lot of baseball during that time. Then,
At time I was working.
at a point, the only sport that was actively able to watch was Korean baseball, which I was a huge fan.
The funny thing is, I was working in Los Angeles at the time, and I was riding the metro. I remember, I was riding home from the metro. Somebody, someone had their phone out, and there was a news conference. And I think at the time the mayor was, I believe, Eric Garcetti from Los Angeles. He was the first mayor to announce the COVID-19 shutdown, saying that office is closed. If we work, we got to work from home. Um, we can't go anywhere. And I think I remember when I got home later that night, I was watching the Thunder game and the Mavericks. Um, Actually, no, it was the Mavericks game. I don't remember who they're playing, but it was a Mavericks game. I turned in and like the first thing I see was breaking news that the NBA was gonna suspend the season, go on hiatus because of COVID-19. And then they finished that game, but then after that there was supposed to be another game. The Thunder were supposed to play the Jazz that night, and the game was tuned in. There was a delay, and then it finally revealed that there was a rumor going around that someone from the Utah Jazz tested positive. So when that came out, they ended up canceling the game. They put everybody back in the locker rooms. They had a quarantine. They all had to get COVID tests before leaving the arena. And then guess what? The next game I was supposed to watch was the Golden State Warriors. Same thing. Rumor came out, someone got sick. Guess what? They canceled that game. So the NBA technically suspended the season right after that Dallas game. And then I believe there were other sporting events at the time. Same thing. They had to cancel their games because of all this. So I mean, it just shows how serious this thing was.
Yeah, for sure. Tough years for sure. Everybody for sure remembers. Crazy part, I was working at SoFi Stadium when COVID was active, which was pretty weird but fun.
Now let me ask you: were you working as a member of the construction team?
No, no construction. The staff at the stadium. So pretty much there was no fans, so there's pretty much nothing to do. You know?
Yeah, I recall. I used to know someone. They worked on the construction of building that stadium, and they worked on there through the pandemic. And they said that they struggled because people were getting sick, but they still had to continue working because they had to finish that. They had to finish it because it was scheduled to open that season.
Yeah, 100%. And they if they don't finish by the exact date, they start getting fined by the state. So and just a quick yeah that
Yeah, those were tough times, and like, and I remember when even when sports resumed, it didn't feel the same. I mean, I got to watch football. Like we got the NFL on time, but I think I think the team that got hit the most from COVID-19 was the Patriots because there were some games too. This was hard. There were some games that were supposed to be played on Sunday, but if outbreak came out, then they had to cancel that game and they had to reschedule it. So if you had to play Sunday and you tested positive for COVID, the game would get canceled. They would play either on a Monday or a Tuesday, sometimes Wednesday, sometimes Thursday, sometimes Friday, even sometimes Saturday. So I mean, there were teams that had to play games in between the weeks, and they had to prep for the next game. And I looked at the Patriots' schedule, and they got hit with this so many times. There were times they had to play on Tuesday. Then they had a game on Thursday, and then they had to when they got the 10 days off, that was like their bye week right there. So,
what sports were you watching during the COVID season then? If there was no sports.
well, one of the first sports that came back during COVID because we started working from home. One of the first sports that came back was NASCAR. Yes, NASCAR, the racing. I mean, that was pretty much easy to handle because they kind of like race in race cars. I mean, you didn't have to worry about social distancing because you were in your race car. I mean, unless they had the social distance to stock cars, that'd be freaking weird. But that was the first sport that came back. So that's how NASCAR kind of like got their popularity going because that was the first sport you could watch. Like, hey, we could watch racing. I mean, people were not at the track, just the media personnel and the race teams. But that was fine because technically, you know, you were separated. In your own garages. You had to stay in your motorhomes. So that was like an easy sport to watch during COVID because they were in their stock cars. They were not together. And I think the next sport that came back was basketball. That was when they did the bubble. And if you're a fan of it, go on YouTube and type in the Lakers. There was a documentary about the 2020 season. They went through a lot. We all know about they got to that fast start, and then we all were sad with what happened to Kobe. And then COVID came. That team won the championship that season, but if you watch that documentary, you will see inside look of what the players had to go through during their time in that bubble. They were under very, very, very strict restrictions.
Yeah, there's a lot of podcast interviews of players coming out explaining detail what was going on in the bubble and what restriction was there. It was pretty much a new world in that bubble.
Yeah, the thing was nobody was allowed to leave the bubble, like the hotel room, the where they were playing. No outsiders were allowed. Period. When you had to go to practice, you had to practice in the ballroom of the hotel. They literally had to take pieces of the court, put it in there so the players can practice, and they had to adjust practice times so everyone could have a chance at practice. And that was challenging. I tell you, you gotta watch it because you'll see what they had to go through. Even LeBron James, went to talked on Spectrum Sports about what life was during that period.
Yeah, I remember that year the Clippers had it going too. I think we even choked the 3-1 series that year versus the Nuggets. The players that just wanted to go home that year, they didn't even want to finish that season being in that bubble.
No, like the only teams that got to play were the playoff teams and the teams that were in the hunt. Now that's how this whole in season tournament stuff started was because of the bubble. And that's how it all started. But it's just very 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 interesting on how everything just went on the blue. So again, that time, it's always gonna live in history. When I have my kids, I'm gonna have to tell them about that story. Like, yeah, we all had to work from home, and to this day, I work from home still. Many companies decided to work from home. Period. So I mean, there were some good things and just some bad things came out of it. But I mean, we'll let you guys decide on that. What you guys think of that? So I mean, you can comment anytime on us. Let us know how you felt about the lockdown, how you felt about sports at that time. Do you believe politics like got involved in sports more than usual? I mean, just let us know. Comment on our Instagram pages. Just let us know what you think, and then we'll post your comments or we'll read them here on an upcoming episode, right? Okay, looks like we're having some technical issues with my partner's microphone. So it looks like we're gonna go ahead and wrap things up here for tonight. We want to thank everyone for tuning in, and again, if you missed this episode of the weekend wrap, we will be replaying it again on Podbean. It'll be on Spotify and iHeartRadio. Again, we want to thank everyone for tuning in tonight. And partner, do you have any last words for
Yeah, I
tonight?
want to go over that draft NBA combine that's going on right now of the new rookies for next year in the draft, and one of them is Brownie. Have you seen his clips?
Yeah, I mean, I heard he was also medically cleared to enter the draft, which is a good sign. Just in case many of you don't know, he suffered a cardiac arrest a couple of months ago, and people wondered if he ever was gonna play.
Yeah, so it's good for him. He's gonna be good. He should be solid for the his future. It was just one of those bad random incidents. But so pretty much Lakers are favored to draft them, and Cavaliers. Those are the top two teams. So who knows? LeBron will be a Laker, or will he be a Cleveland Cavalier?
And then again, as we reported earlier tonight, all signs point that he's gonna choose the Cleveland Cavaliers because he is in Cleveland right now. He attended the game tonight between the Celtics and Cavs. He knows about that rivalry. He was part of it when he was part of the Big Three in Miami. They actually knocked him out of the playoffs a few times to win a championship. So he knows how that feels. But again, there's rumors are rumors, and again, once we find out what's going to happen, we will report as well. But the way things are right now, it looks like it's pointing to a homecoming and maybe one more chapter, one more round in his career with the Cavs. Maybe he brings home another
And
championship.
I'm rewatching that video, and his agent is on his left side as well, Rich Paul, with the clutch shirt. So yeah, I'm just predicting it now that LeBron is a future Cavalier.
For his sake, I hope no one else caught him because if that leaks out that he was seen there next to him and they show that clip, his phone's gonna be buzzing for the next few days. That's for sure.
Yeah, for sure. The future's bright for LeBron. He has a lot of things that he has to think about.
Well, it's interesting to see. I mean, again, if he does leave, you wonder what the Lakers would do as far as trying to get some veteran players here to help out with Anthony Davis. I mean, we know that D'Angelo Russell is scheduled to leave. He's a free agent, but then
He got
again,
out.
first things first. First things first, you got to find a coach. And again,
Jason Kidd.
reported earlier tonight.
I mean, JJ Redick.
Oh, he's a potential candidate. I mean, the Lakers reported tonight. ESPN reported that they will start right now their head coaching search.
Well, I think if Lakers don't get JJ Redick as a head coach, LeBron leaves. If Lakers sign JJ Redick, LeBron stays. Mark that down. Mark that down on your calendar.
If that happens, I'll buy you a steak if he leaves the Lakers and they don't bring in JJ Redick. But what about if they bring in Tyree Lue? Because again, he wants to be a Clipper, but I mean, if money talks, money walks.
Yeah, money talks. Steve Ballmer, billionaire. I think we resign him. But we do not bring Paul George back. Hopefully, I don't know what we're gonna do with Kawhi, but I don't even want to talk about it at this point.
Well, you reported this last week. He was given offers by the Clippers and other teams, and he's turned them down. He's actually gonna test the free agency market and see if he'll land bigger deals. But if he doesn't get that deal he wants, what are the chances of him coming back here?
Never say never.
Yeah, never say never, and that'll be our thought of the night tonight. It is never say never. We will keep you posted on these searches as the NBA playoffs continue. Again, Wednesday we will be back here with a special episode of the schedule release. The NFL will release the 2024 schedule for all the teams. We will recap the Rams and the Chargers schedules, and we'll see what games are we looking forward to at SoFi. And again, tickets are on sale for both the Rams and the Chargers. You can visit their respective websites and Ticketmaster.com, or you can go to SoFi Stadium Ticket Box Office and get your seats today. Check out your Rams and your Chargers live from SoFi.
Yes, sir. Rams house. And for sure, we'll be back Wednesday, like you mentioned, for the NFL release schedule and to go over those two games that were played today. So, thanks again for the invite. hope to see you guys on Wednesday.
Yeah, tune in on Wednesday. Again, we will recap that with the Rams and Chargers. We will let you know what we will continue to follow us on Instagram for any updates on the show, or if you have any questions or whatever you want to say, post your comments and we'll post them. We'll read them to you live. And partner, you have any last sayings before we wrap it up tonight?
Another day.
Another podcast. Don't forget you can catch the replay of this podcast on Spotify, iHeartRadio, and here on Podbean. You can also follow us on Podbean too. Also on these three apps, you can subscribe to the show, download and watch your previous episodes, including tonight. Again, if you missed this live stream, we will have the replay tonight. Again, for my partner Jesus, I am of course Ed. Thank you for watching Sports Talk. Have a great night, and we will see you next time.